Hey everybody, Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the extraordinary honor and pleasure of chatting with none other than Ronnie Simpkins. Yay!
Hey, hello. It's so good to be with you. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, Ronnie. Well, we have a lot of stuff to talk. Many of you have probably seen Ronnie playing with the Seldom Scene, and they've got some big news that just happened a few days before we're chatting today. We're going to talk about that, but as always, we like to go to the past. How did you get started in music and particularly on bass?
Well, let's see. That goes way back. I was raised in Southwest Virginia, a little town called Radford. It's in between Radford and Christiansburg. Virginia Tech is in that area, so that kind of put my hometown on the map, so to speak. And I was raised in a musical family. My dad played banjo and fiddle, and my mom played guitar. That's how I got, introduced to music. And we would play family picnics. Later on, Fiddlers Convention, they were very prominent in the area. And that led to me, working out with other bands. And probably my first band, professional band, was the Bluegrass Cardinals. And that was in 1980. That led to other bands and eventually the Tony Rice Unit. After that, the Seldom Scene. So
Nice. And the Seldom Scene, you go back all the way to 71, if I'm not mistaken, right?
that's the original band. That's when they started, yeah, 1971. And my first job with the Seldom Scene was New Year's Eve at the Birchmere in 1995. And we planned there again this New Year's Eve, and it'll be 30 years. And it's been incredible. I can't believe it.
Nice, nice.
Where does the time go?
Indeed. Well, and then if I understand correctly, you're pretty much self-taught as far as your music?
Hey, that is correct. Growing up, I have an older brother that is a multi instrumentalist, Ricky, who plays anything with strings on it. So he, in the family band, he played the fiddle and banjo. My mom played guitar, and then so we needed a bass. So I just jumped in on the. It started out with the electric bass, and then I went to the acoustic bass. I was always fascinated with the aesthetics of the acoustic and the sound of it, and yeah, and it was all by ear. Even though I've had a little bit of formal training, music theory and that kind of stuff, but for the most part, ear. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Well, and for folks that haven't listened to your music, basically you guys are in the realm of bluegrass. And bluegrass is a really interesting genre in that it is spread throughout the country. A lot of times you don't realize how it's not just, I think people think maybe just Tennessee or something, but here you are, Virginia, the Bethesda area, Washington, D.C. area. We used to hear they had big bluegrass festivals in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, it's really a strong set of music that is quite captivating, has a great fan base. Were you always interested in bluegrass per se?
For the most part, I would say that I was. The area that I grew up in, was real rich, Appalachian area, old time string music, bluegrass. It's so rich, and it still is. And it's like you just mentioned, it's grown. A lot of the roots of it also came from Ireland, since we coming off of St. Patty's Day. The roots of bluegrass music, even Bill Monroe, the originator of the music, he always credited, hearing those ancient tones from, Ireland. And like you said, we've worked quite a bit on the West Coast in addition to, this area on the East Coast. Wintergrass is a very big festival in Seattle.
Mm.
Having young artists like Billy Strings, that's really taken the music to another level. You know, continues to grow, and it still, holds true to its traditions, I think.
Nice, nice. Well, and again, there is a solid foundation. It's also interesting to see how there is some evolution as well. And so you do see more crossover. And I think that's true with some genres more than others, like country to bluegrass, some country to rock. The lines are getting blurred, but it does sound like there's a lot of strong tradition there.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. You have a lot of artists from other genres that they'll come in and get their feet wet with bluegrass, and a lot of times if you get to researching, their roots are based in the old time or bluegrass itself.
Nice.
You know, you mentioned country like Dirk Bentley. He had an early start, I think,
Hmm.
with the bluegrass, as well as Marty Raybon. Oh gosh, there's just several. Vince Gill is another one.
Yeah.
He had his early starts in bluegrass, and we were just talking earlier.
Hmm.
He's sitting in with the Eagles, so it's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and you guys, as we're speaking, you guys have a new album that just got released, Remains to be Seen, that went out on March 14th. So, fresh new album. Tell us a little bit about that project.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, like you mentioned, the album was officially released on the 14th, and there's some original material on there from singer-songwriters that we've known down through the years, as well as we've done some covers that going way back. The scene since day one, they've always been not afraid to go outside of the box. I mean, to cover a Bob Dylan song
Hmm.
or Grateful Dead. So anyway, we opened up the record with a Kinks number that they recorded back in the 60s. I don't know if you remember those guys,
Indeed.
but yeah, it's last of the steam-powered trains. And I think it's definitely outside of the box, and we got our own little take on it. And it is a train song, so the Seldom Scene is always known for their train songs. Yeah, we're real proud of this album, Remains to be Seen, and it's our second one on the Smithsonian Folkways label. They've been so great to work with us. The marketing, production, it's been awesome. It's a great label to be a part of. And I got to say, that is my day job on the side from playing with the Seldom Scene. I work at the Folkways label and been there almost 30 years, almost the same time I started with the scene. So yeah, it's
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
it's been really nice. Yeah.
Well, and as you play upright, I think one of the common things, especially when we talk to so many electric players, we go down the rabbit hole of their pedals and their amplification. But your setup is a lot simpler, but you still have to get your sound out there. How are you achieving that? How are you getting your setup?
Yeah, that's big, getting your sound out there and being acoustic. Of course, we don't do the arenas. We do, indoor theaters, but in the summertime, it's outdoors, the
Mm-hmm.
festivals, and that can be a challenge. What I've had probably for the last maybe, I don't know, I'm 20 plus years playing acoustic bass. I have a stereo system that I have. I have a crown condenser mic that's mounted on the bass, and also an old Fishman BP 100 pickup that I blend together using a Felix. And that is made by Grace. That's the only gear that I run. And then I go through the system, and we have in-ear monitors. So all the guys like bass, so that's in ears. And I I blend on stage and send the house guy one signal, and it's mainly from the microphone because to me it's hard to beat the sound of acoustic bass, the natural sound. So that's pretty much my setup, and I haven't carried an amp in years. So
Well, you're carrying enough with the doghouse there, so
I guess that more than makes up for it, right? So yeah, yeah, yeah.
indeed, indeed. And so with that, we should talk about what plans, because you got the new record coming out. What are the plans for the future? What's in the works for Seldom Scene?
Oh gosh. Well, when I joined back in '95, there were two other guys, Fred Travers, the dobro player, and Dudley Connell, the guitar player. Well, the end of last year, Dudley, he retired. So we've been blessed with Clay Hess. He started playing, filling in the end of last year, and he's our new guitar vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just so excited moving the sound forward with him. Clay was with, real quickly, I'll tell you, back in '99, he worked 3 years with Ricky Skaggs. He was in Ricky's band, and he helped, I think, Ricky earn a Grammy that following year. And Clay's also worked with Sierra Hull and also Mountain Heart. So Clay is a phenomenal guitarist and singer, great person to go along with it. So we're just, so excited to have him on board now, moving forward and trying to get out there to as many new venues that we can. And, You can look us up on seldomscene.com. That's our website. We keep our tour up to date. So check us out.
Perfect. And I imagine also you're on social media as well at Seldom Scene?
Yes, sir. We are. Yeah. You can find us on Instagram as well as Facebook. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Ronnie, we appreciate you taking time from your schedule. Thanks for sharing the exciting news about Remains to be Seen. Folks, if you haven't had a chance to get this album in your hands by the time you're seeing this video, check it out. Look it up and give it a good listen there.
Thank you so much, Raul. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Folks, you've seen him here, Ronnie Simpkins on Bass Musician Magazine.
All right. Thank you.